The last day of school. It's supposed to be a time of celebration, of freedom, but sometimes it's the day you wish never came. Let me take you back to that last day, a day that started with excitement but ended in something no one could explain. No one but her. It was senior year. Sarah, like everyone else, had waited for this day, her last day of high school. She should have been filled with excitement, right? But that morning, when she woke up, something felt off. A chill in the air, a strange heaviness as if the walls of her room were closing in. Sarah brushed it off. After all, it was her final day of school. One last class, then freedom. But as she walked down the empty hallways, she started to notice something wasn't right. The sun outside seemed dimmer. The chatter of students felt distant, and as she glanced into the school mirror, she caught something, or someone, behind her. But when she turned, there was nothing. The last class was supposed to be a formality, a quick goodbye. But as Sarah entered the classroom, she was alone, completely alone. Desks sat empty, chairs all in perfect rows, no teacher, no classmates, just her. She checked her phone, 10:02 a.m. She was supposed to be here, everyone was. But where were they? That's when she heard it, a faint whisper at first, the sound of chalk slowly scraping against the board. She looked up and saw words being written, as if by an invisible hand. "Don't look back." Sarah's heart pounded. Her mind raced. What kind of prank was this? And who was doing it? She wanted to turn around, to look behind her, but something deep inside told her not to. The warning on the board echoed in her head. Just then, the lights cut out completely. Plunged into darkness, Sarah's pulse quickened. She could feel something, standing behind her, breathing, watching. Frozen in fear, Sarah kept her eyes forward, gripping her desk. The whispers grew louder, surrounding her, pressing in. And then, they stopped. In the dim light, Sarah saw it. Shadows, slowly creeping along the walls, moving toward her. Not normal shadows, though. These were twisted, dark figures with elongated limbs. No faces, just voids of darkness. They circled around her, inching closer, closer. Sarah squeezed her eyes shut, muttering to herself that it was all just a bad dream. But deep down, she knew this was real. Then, with a sudden burst of courage, Sarah bolted for the door. She couldn't take it anymore. She ran, not daring to look back as the sound of footsteps chased her through the halls. The once familiar hallways had twisted, turned. What should have been a straight path to the exit became a labyrinth, doors slamming shut behind her as she ran. She stopped. There, standing at the end of the hallway, was a figure, pale, faceless, wearing what looked like an old-school uniform. It just stood there, waiting. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. The figure raised a hand, beckoning her. She took a step back, but behind her, the whispers had returned. Louder this time. She was trapped. The figure moved closer, each step echoing through the empty halls. Sarah's legs felt heavy, her body weak, as if the air itself had thickened. She could feel herself being drawn in, as though her very soul was being pulled toward the figure. Then, the final bell rang, a piercing, deafening sound that filled the entire school. The figure stopped, its head tilted slightly, as if listening. And then, it vanished, just like that. Sarah stumbled out of the school, her legs barely able to carry her. She fell to the ground, gasping for breath, her heart racing. The sun, once dim, now shone brightly in the sky. The world was normal again, but she wasn't. No one ever believed her. The school was locked up soon after. deemed unsafe due to structural issues. But Sarah knew the truth. She had survived something far worse than anyone could ever imagine. But every year, on the last day of school, she can still hear the whispers. And if you listen closely enough, so can you. So, when it's your last day of school, make sure you don't look back.